Picture the scene. It's the year 2001. The Y2K bug never happened, the PS2 has been released, and finally on TV we have Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing in the UK. I was a teenager and just started working as a commie chef at a hotel, and with my first paycheck I remember buying two things: a set of metal skateboard grind rails and a PS1 game. This wasn't the first game I bought myself. I'd bought games and systems before by saving up chore money and from birthday and Christmas presents, but it was the first time I spent money from a real job. And that game was Gundam Battle Assault. Whilst it's not the greatest game by a long way, it will always hold a special memory for me. And it will also remind me to be better with my spending habits in the future. A Western version of Gundam the Battle Master 2 that was released in Japan in 1998, Gundam Battle Assault is a 2D fighter where you pick your suit and battle it out in either story or versus modes. This is pretty bare bones, even by late PS1 standards. Story mode has you play as everyone's favourite angsty teenager, Hero Yui.
Mission complete.
Total annihilation expedited. Thank you, and have a nice day.
What?
In one of 13 suits from different Gundam series as you battle your way arcade style to the final boss. When this was decided to be brought over to the West, the popularity of Gundam Wing had risen, so Hero was just slapped into the game along with Wing Gundam to appeal to the new audience. This meant that the reworked story is basically a mess, though there are some classic throwbacks to scenes in the anime. You do get to face off against some mobile armours as well as you fight your way towards the end boss Tres Kutranada, which are impressive if not cheap as hell to beat. And Versus is exactly what you imagine it is, although you can use some of the unlocked suits here that you can't use for story mode. The controls are incredibly simple: 2 punch and 2 kick buttons with weak and strong variations, and a thruster button that allows you to dash and fly for brief periods. Even executing special moves and supers, each using their own respective gauges, and both being full at the start of each round, is completely easy. No complicated motions. For example, to fire off a beam rifle is just a simple down forward punch, or a beam saber is just forward down back punch. Even supers are just as simple at input, so the game is very accessible to anyone. You can combo from weak to strong attacks, and even throw in some specials to really pile on the damage. Each fight is only 1 round long. You start with 3 health bars, and when one is depleted, regardless of the attack, you're knocked to the ground. You can still be hit when face down on the ground though, so it's a good way to get some extra hits in even if it's not the most effective damage. Most moves can be blocked, though you will still take chip damage, but against the larger suits it's much better to take that than get hit full force with an attack. Suit wise, they're all mostly from the Universal Century and play differently. Wing is just a reskin of Zeta, and the Zazabi is just ridiculously OP with its fast speed, full screen specials and damage output. You can play as the mobile armors and boss characters, and even a ball in Versus, but to unlock them takes way too much effort. It looks great. The suits each have multiple moving parts and fluid animations for attacking and movement. There's even visible damage once you or your opponent has suffered enough. The backgrounds though are pretty plain, and the foreground on certain stages can be a pain to see what's going on through them. The sound effects are on point with beam attacks and hits sounding like you would expect them to sound like from the series. And the announcer has some really weird lines throughout the whole thing.
Wealth and glory, the winner.
Finally, the music is there, but it isn't anything special. So how does it all play? From okay to frustrating, I would say is the best way of describing it. Early fights, you can just wail on your opponents without any form of strategy whatsoever, but by the time you get to the mobile armors, you basically either need to block and hit or just die. It can go from you being 100% on the offensive to getting decimated in the blink of an eye. And the second to last boss fight is easily my biggest gripe with the game. Overall though, for its time, it is a fun experience. I would have preferred an updated version of the Endless Duel game from the Super Nintendo, but this was passable on release. Having started just getting into Gundam around this time, I also would have liked to see more suits from Gundam Wing, something that was rectified in the sequel. That and some more modes, but again, this was something that they added to the sequel. I definitely think this is a better game to play with friends than single player, as most fighters are, as the cheapness of the AI even on the normal difficulty can be tiresome. But that's just my opinion. Do you own this or have you ever played it? Leave a comment below if you have. Don't forget to thumbs up the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more Gundam related gaming content. I've been Tom from VPG Gaming, thanks for watching.